Hey there on YouTube. Welcome back to the set of the NFL Matchup Show here in beautiful downtown Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and NFL Films. That, of course, is the founding father of our show, Greg Cosell. This is Mr. Darius Butler. I'm Sal Paolantonio. I want to give everybody a really detailed look at Giants at Commanders Sunday Night Football. And I want to first focus with you, Greg, on Taylor Heinicke and how they have turned their season around offensively.
Yeah, well, let's put it a little bit maybe in the context of the matchup, because I think that's really important here. These teams just played 2 weeks ago. It's the last game the Commanders played, by the way. They just came off a bye. And that matchup was fascinating to me, Sal, because the Giants played in that game 21 snaps in the game with 7 defensive backs. You don't see teams do that in the National Football League. So they bring a lot of speed on the field, and it's Wink Martindale. So what do you get? You get man-to-man coverage, and you get a lot of pressure concepts. And Washington's going to have to handle those if they're going to move the ball in the pass game.
There was a tie.
Yep.
And then a bye.
Yep.
And now the Commanders can say bye-bye to the Giants if they can put them away in this football game. You know, the bottom line is they have struggled offensively, the Giants. And why is that?
They struggled mightily. And it had a hot start, and it started with that running game with Saquon. They haven't been able to keep that run game sustained. They haven't been able to move guys up front, and that's led to Daniel Jones getting beat up, being the most sacked quarterback in the league since Week 12, not putting that ball in the end zone like they were doing earlier.
Butler with a big stat.
Yeah, you got to get Saquon going. It starts with 26. You mentioned him earlier, Greg. He came in banged up last week with the neck.
Yep.
He's off the injury report this week, so hopefully he gets a heavy load.
Yeah, miraculously off that injury report. I wonder how that
15.
happened.
Yeah.
Greg, what do you see in this football game?
Yeah, and I think what Dee said about Barkley is really critical, because if you go back to that game a couple of weeks ago, the Giants were ahead late in the third quarter, and they tried to close out the game running the football, and they couldn't. You know, Barkley's a fascinating guy to talk about because we know he's got great size, he's got weight room strength. We've all seen those pictures through the years, but he's not a powerful runner just naturally. And he's not the kind of guy that, if it's blocked for 3, gets 7 or 8. And he's going to need to be that guy in this game, because earlier in the year, Jones was hitting a lot of third and longs. That hasn't happened as much recently because he's been under too much pressure.
Why in the world couldn't Washington score on the Giants' defense at the end of that game when that ended in a tie? What happened there? We see in the show how much the Washington offense has been so good, right? This year. What's going on with them?
You know, I think Washington...
But lately they've been very good.
Yeah, they have, because the run game, and they'll tell you that. They'll say that it's really...
But our piece in the show is about Terry McLaurin.
Right, well, they've got weapons. But I think the way, because of Taylor Heinicke, who is not someone you want dropping back 45, 50 times a game, it really starts for them with Brian Robinson. And I like him, but you could probably say he's more of a singles hitter, but he does get tough yards, and it starts there. They need to be ahead of the sticks in order to play well on offense, in order for McLaurin and Dotson to be factors.
Yeah, McLaurin.
They got to be factors. They have to be factors.
McLaurin's got to be a factor, and that's something that
he's always a factor, but Dotson being back in there, that'll be big for him too.
All right, so real quickly, you know, the Giants and the Commanders' defense, I mean, it's not a setup that really helps the Giants.
No.
It's not a good matchup for the Giants' offense.
I mentioned it. So last 4 weeks, only 4 touchdown passes, and once again, the most sacked quarterback in the league since Week 12. So you got to be able to block him, and they're only getting deeper on that Washington defensive line too.
Evan Neal, the right tackle, really struggled and has been struggling since he came back in.
You mean to block the 34-year-old Brandon Graham who had 3 sacks?
And he's going to get some really good pass rushers in this game. So he's going to have to play well in one-on-one pass protection.
Yeah, and the Commanders get after the quarterback. They're number 1 in the league in the last 5 weeks at hitting the quarterback. Let's check out the show times. There we are. We're on TV a lot, Greg Cosell. And remember, Greg Cosell is always trending on Twitter. Thanks for watching us on YouTube.